my whole purpose for wanting to be a gym owner and really getting behind Bedros was, I come from a law enforcement perspective where we show up after the scenes of something horrendous potentially could have just happened. The vision behind Rincon Fit Body Boot Camp is really building our community up and preventing so-called violence or crimes down the road. Because when you see people walking through our doors, they're teachers, they're medical professionals, the mental health professionals, they're people who are out there in the day-to-day struggle to really impact other people's lives, potentially, making and helping to make that one change in a person who may eventually go downhill or something.
Welcome to the Fitness CEO Podcast.
Welcome back, friends, to another amazing episode. And as always, so excited to tee up today's guests, who are Rob and Carol Carruth, who are fitness professionals who joined the Fit Body brand in Tucson, Arizona in 2017, later in life after their earlier careers. And today you're going to learn how to launch a successful, thriving fitness business later in life after your career. Rob and Carol, welcome to the show. Welcome back, friends, to another amazing episode of the podcast. And before I tee up today's guests, my dear friends Rob and Carol, I want to give you a friendly reminder to give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and write us an amazing review on iTunes. That way we can keep producing this content for you for free. So that all said, Rob and Carol, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bryce.
I'm pumped to be here.
I'm pumped to have you here. And just after an awesome week in Nashville, Tennessee, Mastermind Elite Training, and really excited to highlight you both as incredible owners, some of our best owners in the brand, and just genuine people. So that all said, to kick us off, Rob, I'm looking at you first, but really want to hear the backstory. Really, how did it all come to be in terms of your ownership within Fit Body in Tucson, Arizona?
Yeah, so I guess I blame, or maybe I should say credit, Carol. We were fairly new as a couple. We were both kind of on the tail end of our careers, respectively, and I'll let Carol tell her story. But she was kind of looking for that next step and was getting into. She was training to get her CPT and thinking, oh, maybe I'll work in a big box gym or do some PT on my own. And of course, in the course of that, came across Bedros, and she was like, oh, there's this fitness business summit in San Diego and I really want to go to it. And next thing I know, she bought us both tickets. And I'm like, I was still working and kind of into my career, and I'm like, okay, I'll go with you. You do your rah-rah business summit. I'm going to lay out by the pool and do some work. But of course, on the very first day, we went to the workout, and that was an amazing experience. So high energy, and Matt and his crew. And then we went to the opening presentation together, and of course that was Bedros, and I have to say I still remember it, and just the passion, the genuineness of him, and being a successful entrepreneur, but at the same time being extremely humble and focused on what he was doing and supporting his franchisees. Just kind of blew us both away, basically, but that was it for me. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stay and listen to all these presentations.
Glued to the seat.
Yeah, and so we ended up doing the lunch and listening to some of the Fit Body owners, and I was like, these guys are real people. They're just like us. Let's see how this plays out. And
right.
I think that was in February or March of 2017, and Carol's a military veteran, and there was a little bit of a incentive to sign up within a certain period, and we went home and discussed it. We visited some Fit Bodies along the way, and there was just a commonality of the owners. They were also very genuine, very giving, opened their books on how they ran things and what it was like to be an owner, and the support they got from the franchise.
Definitely did the research.
Yeah, long story short, within about 30 days, we signed on the dotted line.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. And Carol, I didn't actually know you were a military vet, so I want to thank you for your service. That means a lot, and I have a lot of respect for that. So how about from your lens? How did that story pan out? Does it match Rob's lens? I'm sure a little different perspective.
Pretty much. I was coming off a career. I'm a retired detective with Tucson Police, and we had a change of the guards about 2 or 3 years prior, and I had expected to spend a minimum of 5 more years with the police department, but due to that change of the guard, wasn't really I wasn't really respecting like a lot of the changes that were coming down. The culture, was changing, and I began to follow Bedros online, YouTube, see all his just motivational types of videos and things like that, getting more into the fitness industry and that kind of thing. And I just felt like I had this bigger respect for this person who was transforming lives.
Totally.
And so just really wanted to get to know him and what he was doing a little bit more. Got my CTP, dragged drug Rob out to California to really meet the person. Very inspired. I feel like, that's somebody I could rally behind.
Totally.
Was really loving what he was doing in the world, really. So just very impressive.
Well, kindred spirits. I feel the same way. I mean, I was a few years ahead of you in terms of making that leap, but I felt the exact same way and had a very similar connection point.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
Okay, well, I appreciate you kind of providing visibility on really how it all came to be. I want to take a little journey back, and Carol, look at you first, because it sounds like you both had careers, and this is kind of a secondary aspect after retirement. So we'll kind of probably talk about that. But why fitness? Was fitness ingrained in your childhood? Kind of what was your journey of fitness in your youth, and really how did that translate to now you becoming an owner?
I think I was born with training wheels, just always active outdoors. I grew up in Western Massachusetts, and just always out in nature, running around, kindergarten, hitting the bus stop 30 minutes early with friends, playing kickball, tag, rock, paper, scissors. I mean, you name it. It was just like
active.
Very active. I played tennis in college, just sports throughout my youth, and into the military as well. Played tennis there, and got into cycling and swimming and triathlon, and played soccer for the Tucson Women's Soccer League. I mean, it was just,
nice.
I think, for me, athletics always encouraged, building your strength, right? And kind of help prepare you for any other walk in life. So I really attribute just being active, staying fit as a preparation and preparatory kind of activity for everything else that I've done in my life, and been able to been successul at it.
Yeah. So that
I feel like that translates, into what we do, spreading that, confidence into everyone that comes through our doors.
Totally.
Right? Yeah.
It's that foundation of activity, fitness that kind of led you throughout.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
And would you say, I mean, obviously,
because I was pretty shy.
Yeah.
I would hide behind curtains
wow.
growing up. Like, I was a very shy.
was in there.
I was the youngest of four, so I was always picked on.
Yeah.
So that was like one area where I had a strength. So yeah.
Well, I want to hear from Rob before I do, and Rob, you're articulating the story from your perspective, but it sounds like, Carol, you were the driving force, at least initially, to make that leap of faith. Do you think it was that fitness background? I mean, what really compelled you to really kind of drag Rob to that fitness business up in San Diego?
You want to leave like the world a better place than when you entered it, and I think that is one way that you can like leave your mark, on, and really getting people to tap into their own energies so they can be that leader in their life, right?
Yep.
And so then they go on and impact and be the role models for everybody else out there.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably one of the leading things that we inspire in our gym is we're building leaders, right, in our communities to go out and live their passion, their gift. We all have one, and tap and tune into that, and just make our community a better, safer, thriving, part of Tucson.
Totally.
Yeah.
Love that. Rob, what's your perspective, and what was your background, I guess, younger days in terms of fitness? Were you active? Were you fit? Was this completely cold turkey?
No, that's one thing I think that drew Carol and I together, really, is we both grew up in kind of, even though different parts of the country, but in a somewhat similar fashion. Of course, I grew up before smartphones and video games, so my brother and I were always outside, come home from school, throw the books on the bed, and boom. We were outside. We grew up kind of in the north part of Tucson at the edge of the city, so there was lots of foothills and things to do outside.
Yeah.
We were into hunting, we were into fishing, bows and arrows, the whole thing, and just being outdoors. And my brother and I joke we were our parenting style, or my parents' style was, we called it free range parenting. You know, they were busy professionals, so they wouldn't always get home, you know, right away. We were left to our own devices. So
free range parenting.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had our pellet guns. We were, you know, shooting rabbits and quail and trying to cook them before my mom got home to get after us. But,
God.
Just, you know, I still managed to be a chubby kid, but I was always moving my body. And by the time I, you know, got to high school, it was, you know, it's like, okay, you know, I'm going to join sport. And I was in track and field, and then, you know, working in the summer and construction, just kind of leaned out naturally. But there's so much when you sort of feel what fitness feels like, that confidence that goes along with it, the extra energy, you know, it's just like, that was you know, the start of just staying fit pretty much my whole career, my life. It was a way to be around more positive people, a way to be around people who set goals. You know, in my case, I got into bike racing and triathlon. I had a chance to live out in the Pacific in my mid-career for about 10 years, and there was a real active triathlon community out there kind of close to Japan and Australia, and just really enjoyed the collective people, the community kind of that went around that, you know, mostly professionals, mostly people who, you know, had set goals in their lives and were working to achieve them. So that was kind of where I came from, more, you know, participatory, more being outside than inside gyms, although I got into gyms later on as I wanted to do better in training and racing to, you know, support that and learn how to get into nutrition to support it and learn how to, you know, do some weight training to support it. So
that foundation was there. So in many ways, it wasn't overly a tough sell. You know, obviously, you made sure the opportunity was right, but there was some commonality there. I'm going to flip this to you, and I'll come back to you, Carol, in a second. You talked about, you know, your previous career. So what did that look like? What were you, you know, previously? And I think it's important to kind of paint that, you know, picture for the audience that you can come from all shapes and sizes and backgrounds in order to be successful gym owners. So what did that look like? And then also, when Carol pitched the opportunity, what were your biggest concerns, if you will, kind of go hand in hand?
So I came from a, you know, interesting family background. My father came from an academic family. His father was a university professor. My father was a lawyer, and then when I got to high school, he was appointed to be a judge in Pima County. My mom came from more of a business entrepreneurial family. Her parents owned, kind of in the beginnings of the fast food industry, I guess, a restaurant a lot like In-N-Out Burger in the Burbank, San Fernando Valley area. It was right near, I remember when I was a kid, because we used to go there, Lakeview Terrace.
Okay.
And a lot of the boaters and recreational people would come and, you know, buy 25 cents a hamburger, 5 for $1, you know, before they got on the lake in the 60s. And I think that's in one way why I always sort of had a little bit of a business entrepreneurial feeling, and just always wanted to do something active and outside if I could. So I started my career, I got degrees in hydrology and geology from the University of Arizona, and wanted something where there was field work involved. I knew there would be an office component, but it just worked out. I'm really blessed to have the career that I had. I traveled and worked in a lot of different really nice places, and also multicultural. So I was out in the Pacific for about 10 years helping island communities improve their water supplies and do exploratory drilling and mapping, and just came to really enjoy learning about other cultures, took a lot away from that, realized that, you know, we have a greatest country on the planet at the US, but we don't do everything necessarily the best. There's other ways, viewpoints of looking at things.
Absolutely.
So I probably learned as much from my experience out there as I, you know, left for them. And I think that's maybe one of the strengths or one of the things I bring to our business is I love people. I get people from all different cultures. We have, of course, a big Latino community in Tucson, and that's, you know, a very diverse population in our gym, and I really love that aspect of it.
Beautiful. Well, kind of continuing that thread, and that was really insightful to be able to paint a picture of like what your background and how diverse that could be, and also still, you know, land up later in your career as a very successful gym owner. You know, when Carol had pitched the opportunity for you, you had that, you know, commonality in fitness, so it wasn't a huge stretch, but I'm sure you had concerns aside from just being dragged to San Diego for Fitness Business Summit. What were those? And I think that's important to showcase, because let's face it, a lot of owners within the FitBody brand, they attack this as couples, and typically one of the spouses brings to the table, and then they kind of work through it. So from your perspective, what did that look like?
People who become entrepreneurs, there's something inside of them that there's just there's a belief there that, yes, I don't know this yet, but I'll figure it out, right? And we look at the most successful owners, and there's definitely some common personality traits there. In college, one of my buddies and I formed this little dive travel business. We would take groups of people down to Sea Cortez in Mexico and camp on the beach and run dive trips. And we didn't have a business license. We didn't have any insurance, but we did it. And, of course, that was 30 plus years ago before it was just like, hey, this would be cool. Let's do that. But I just, and then living out independently, just having to rely on myself to figure stuff out through my career. When Carol expressed her interest, I really, really want to do this. I feel like this is a calling and a passion. I'm like, okay, I know zero about running a business, but I got you. We'll figure this out.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll flip this over to you, Carol. And it's changing, but primarily a predominantly male-focused industry in terms of gym ownership. And granted, you obviously have awesome support with Rob, who's an incredible guy and husband. But what was it like taking the leap of faith as a strong entrepreneurial woman? And then also too, like, how does your working relationship, work within the fitness business in terms of working with Rob?
Yeah, that's a great question, Bryce. To be honest, I've worked in, previous to Fit Body, 2 very male-dominated working environments, and to be honest, I never felt any different.
Nice.
Whether I was in the military or working in law enforcement, we were probably somewhere about 7 to 10% of that population when I first started with each of those agencies. And I just always felt like I fit right in. I didn't let my gender be a discriminatory factor in what I was doing because I knew I could do it.
Heck yeah.
And I had great trainers, and it all came down to the people that I worked with. And so just having that amazing camaraderie, that trust in your relationship, that you're always trying to build ourselves up into the best version of ourselves, and it's because it's teamwork oriented, everyone has your back. Mm-hmm. So you're only in those environments, you're only pretty much as fast as the last person, so you're always trying to build that person up and make them better so that we can keep pressing on
as a team,
right? As a team, right? And
yeah.
Being involved in a lot of team sports too, there's always that factor. What are people's strength and pulling on them to bring that team to be your best. So I can honestly say I never felt any different. Good. And honestly I didn't even think about our industry as being a male-dominated industry, because I've always seen more women in our industry, and many of the owners that we would go visit or I spoke to or engaged with were actually women. Mm-hmm. So that, to me, I just never saw it that way, to be honest. And when it has come up, I was kind of like taken back from it, because I'm like, huh? Like, there's more women. I see more women when I go to the gym. Like, I don't know. Like,
well, that's probably also some good.
I just don't see it that way. So it's a funny thing. And it may be because, I had amazing male mentors to help me be really good at what I did, and forever grateful for that. So many people come to mind, but
totally.
Yeah, I just, in this day and age, I guess I just never really saw it that way.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Love that. Diving into your dynamic then, certainly just like anyone, you have strengths and weaknesses. How do you guys work together? What type of roles, if you're kind of looking at from a day-to-day responsibility, would love to hear your perspective. So Carol, from your perspective, kind of, what's your lane within the business? And then Rob, I would love to hear from you. And then really, what's that crossover look like?
They get crisscrossed quite a bit. But we're getting better at that. And I think when it comes down to, working at our strengths, we took the personality bird test kind of thing, and I'm a heavy parrot, as you can tell, and he's a heavy eagle. So that was very helpful. I don't look at the books at all. I haven't looked at our bank account finances since we first opened, which was 5 years ago.
Sounds like a parrot.
And so I just trust that, I trust Rob with everything when it comes down to, I know he's going to make the best decisions for the business and our people and all of that. Even through the whole COVID thing with, the ERC monies and, just helping us stay afloat. He took on that whole big that burden pretty much. So my role, I would say, is just really, I whenever I walk in a room, it's the parrot, it's the energy. Like, I don't let anyone have more energy in the room. I think any one of my members or my coaching staff would agree with that. To be our team would agree with that. You know, and it comes from my mom, I think. You know, she always led with a smile on her face, and always lightened up a room. And I try to live that purpose for her every day. And just because I saw the impact that she was able to make in just everyday life, you know, transforming people around her, whether it was her coworkers, you know, at AT&T. We're in Nashville right now. There's that big AT&T building, and it just reminds me of her. But yeah, I think I'm the energy driver, and he's the steady Eddie. Just keeps everything going. And coaching, of course, I coach. You know, coaching the staff, running the challenges, and keeping, you know, members engaged, and always, you know, thinking of that next thing of how, you know, we help keep members on track with their results in a way that also kind of contributes to our community. So engaging charities and things like that, making it more purposeful. I feel like members, you know, they really love to have that just, they're not coming in to just get a workout themselves, but they're also coming in to be part of something that's, you know, transforming our community at the same time. Totally. And it makes them work harder, they get better results, and they have a greater impact on, even if it's the person standing next to them, but it's what I envision is like paying it forward to their families, your coworkers, their communities, and even the person standing next to them in line at the grocery store.
Yeah. Love that. Rob, from your perspective, anything to add from your lens in terms of, you know, how you work together, that dynamic?
Yeah, I mean, I always love listening to the dynamics of the different couples in our brand, because you know, we have our former lives and careers, and we're both fairly strong personalities, and it hasn't been all bliss in business or in marriage, but I think that this helped us a lot. You know, I think are getting better at having ourselves on the right seat on the bus. I mean, Carol has the utmost respect of our coaching staff. She's our, you know, the leader of that. She's the leader and coach of the new people we bring on. She lives it 100%. She's got the respect of all our members. They look up to her. She runs our challenges. She designs our challenges. And it just lights me up to see her in that realm, because she's not just really good at it, but she comes at it from a real place of passion. And I have learned to really enjoy the business side of it, and getting us leveled up to, you know, knock on the door of being at that 7-figure level. And I love working with the admin staff, and you know, I'm pretty good at negotiating. I work with our attorneys. I, you know, make sure that those availabilities that were there during COVID, we jumped on it right away and took advantage of it. Right. We, you know, just got a big check from the ERC, and you know, it's just making sure the back end things that are really necessary but not always noticed are on point. And I think that's been a pretty good partnership lately.
Totally. Yeah. And that different, you know, zones of geniuses and experts of the business. I mean, that's a match made in heaven. So. What's up, my friend? Bryce here. Now, you might know me as the co-host of this podcast and the CEO of FitBody. But what many people don't know is that I actually began my journey as a FitBody franchise owner. Now, being an owner, I wake up every day absolutely doing what I love. I live my passion. I help people transform their lives and have both financial and personal freedom. And it's for these reasons and many more that other owners join the brand and open their own FitBody locations too. So if you're looking to build a highly profitable business, take charge of your life, and create an impact in your very own community, then opening a FitBody gym might be a perfect fit for you. Now, to see if a territory is available in your area, as we have very limited spots due to our incredible growth, go ahead and visit our website at fbbcfranchise.com to complete an application. Well, thanks, and back to the show. Now I want to chat about, you know, back when you first opened Tucson FitBody. If you remember, like, your goals, what would you say, if you can remember, you know, why'd you launch it? What were you expecting out of it? And if you can remember, how would you define a win? And Rob, I'll look at you first and then flip it over to Carol.
Yeah, those early days are, I think, really interesting and challenging for just about everybody who starts. We, of course, were full of excitement and maybe even a little overconfidence in the beginning, you know, oh yeah, we got this, you know. We were looking for our new location. We were about 2 months into a lease negotiation, and it just fell through completely. And we're like, dang, the franchise fees were looming, and we were like, okay, let's switch gears, pick ourselves up, go find a location, another one, which actually turned out to be way better. But in the interim there, we found out through the grapevine that the only other Fit Body in Tucson was up for sale. And we, of course, with all that excitement, we went over there and checked it out. We actually had some talks with Ben Jones. And anyway, long story short, we ended up buying that one. The owner wanted out really, really bad. So, we got it at kind of a fire sale, and we're like, okay, we'll cut our teeth on this one while we're getting ready to open our own. And we learned real fast the challenge of, in any business, essentially turning around a failing business, right? With not good culture, with employees that weren't bought in, that there was no vision, no mission statement. And that was a real slap in the face, I think, for both of us, a real awakening. I was still working. Carol was in there working her tail off to get it kind of turned around. And we realized after about 3 months, we bit off more than we can chew between that and opening up a new one from scratch. And I had the opportunity to retire early. I wasn't really planning on it, but I'm like, okay, I'm in. I got your back, and we'll make this work. So I retired after about 3 months after we started, and we realized pretty quick that we were going to have to work out every employee that was there, and we did it as graciously as we could. Obviously, the members are bought into people there. They don't know what's going on in the background, and so we had to be really careful about that. But we did that. We did little celebrations, and just one by one, as the opportunity arose. In about 6 months, we had everybody replaced with somebody that we had hired, and then it started to gain some momentum, and that was really cool, and that sprungboard us into opening our own, basically. And it just, the culture, the community, we were in it, of course, pretty much every day, but it just, once you get to a certain membership level and the class sizes kind of get over that 10 to 15-ish, there's some magic that happens, right?
Totally.
Culture, just the energy, the culture, the coaches get into it, and all of a sudden people are like telling their friends, hey, there's this new gym, it's really fun, and we had about a year-ish before COVID hit, and grateful for that, because we had some really good momentum going into it, and I think that carried us through.
Heck yeah. How about you, from your lens? Anything to add there?
As far as purpose, I think you asked.
Just
as far as
kind of like, how would you define a win? When you first get in, what was your expectation, if you will? My
whole purpose for wanting to be a gym owner and really getting behind Bedros was, I come from a law enforcement perspective where we show up after the scenes of something horrendous potentially could have just happened. So really, when the vision behind Rincon Fit Body Boot Camp is really building our community up and preventing so-called violence or crimes down the road. Because when you see people walking through our doors, they're teachers, they're medical professionals, they're mental health professionals, they're people who are out there in the day-to-day struggle to really impact other people's lives, is potentially, making and helping to make that one change in a person who may eventually go downhill or something. So the idea is that we're preventing, violence in Tucson, so making it a safer, more thriving community. So that was like my driving force into wanting to, do something meaningful in Tucson and getting out of a very safe profession where I was making good money. Do I really want to invest my retirement into something? Because I know we're going to get down into this. And same thing with Rob. We both had really excellent financial stability coming out of our jobs, and we would be investing that into something, that depended on us to be successful at, to be able to make back what we had earned over those 20, 30 years,
Yeah.
right? So that was probably a very important discussion that we shared before we signed that agreement with FitBody, and being able to trust that in ourselves to be able to do that. And are we behind a team of leaders that are going to help us be successful with that? So I feel like that's probably, I'm not a person that's always driven by money, so to speak. I'm more about impact. And I feel like, we trusted that decision, and we fully were, backed FitBody and their mission and what they were wanting to do in the world, really.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you talked about the impact, and now I want to, kind of open it up, because that's what we do every day, which is our mission is to inspire fitness and change lives, and that's what we do. So I'd love to hear maybe one or two of your most memorable transformation stories, and I guess Carol, if you can go first, and maybe Rob, you have one.
Gosh, when I heard you were going to ask this question, it is just too hard to even come down to one person. To be honest, I'm thinking about our coaches, actually, and we have amazing coaches, and they impact hundreds of people every single day, and just a gazillion people, running through my mind, just from lowering A1Cs to losing a certain amount of fat, gaining lean muscle, and all of this stuff. But I guess one of the key members who's actually gone on to become a FitBody owner actually is probably Danny Milton. Danielle, she's just, a sweet gal, came in. She is a prior restaurant employee, worked in the food industry, came in she basically reached a point in her life where, she wasn't happy with how she was feeling. She, was smoked, she drank alcohol, was ready to make that change, and came in, and slowly she was a winner of one of our transformation challenges. She quit smoking, she stopped drinking, she started doing a little more intensified coaching with one of our coaches, and just to kind of see her transformation and build up really the confidence in her ability to even take on ownership of a FitBody and move out of Tucson into Idaho, and literally pick things up with her husband and move to a whole nother location. And it's just that's pretty inspiring. From what we do every day, you wonder if you're doing anything at all some days, how you're impacting people, but but that's just a good reminder.
Oh, that's one incredible story.
But there's a lot more.
Rob, how about
there's
you?
A lot more.
And I'm always very careful not to say favorite, because it's not favorite. Because there's so many, right?
Yeah.
But just memorable is really like how I like to frame it.
Yeah, our membership has really become like an extension of our friends, and in a way, I think that's one of the benefits of, now we just have the one location. There's an amazing diversity and skill set within a membership of over 500 people. So we've been able to mine that for our team, basically. Our newest FitBody Forever coach came through our membership. Our new client coordinator came through our membership. She had an amazing transformation.
Yeah.
She's about 25, 26 now, but she's just so good at talking on the phone and getting, people to come in and try it out, because she's been there herself, and who can speak better than someone who's been through it themselves. So
totally.
Yeah, it's again, we've learned the hard way to hire correctly, to hire for character and personality, and whether it's a good culture fit. And now we're extremely patient about hiring, and we actually lost a really good client coordinator back in April, and we just hired this gal. So we went through lots of people that we were checking out, and we're like, okay, this is a lot of extra work right now, but we're gonna wait for the right person, and it just boom.
Oh, awesome.
So grateful.
It's a people business, and as we just talk about, as much as our facilities are beautiful, and that kind of delivered us in the training today, it's just 4 walls, mats, and equipment.
Right.
The people make it happen, make the magic.
100%.
So. Well, speaking of training, you guys have been so gracious with your time. We still have some more time before we hop back in the training for our lightning round, if you guys are up for it.
Sure.
All right. Well, high level, if you can kind of take a look back at your journey, I guess with Fit Body starting in 2017, what would you say has been maybe the biggest challenge, and then the flip side, biggest source of fulfillment? And Carol, you first.
Working with Rob is definitely the biggest challenge.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to say fulfillment.
Well, it's really hard coming home at the end of the day and having nothing really else to talk about. So I think we have to really work really hard to not bring work home with us on a constant basis, and giving us, because you have to step away, and just having that ability to come home and just kind of decompress and not and like we used to when we had jobs and we didn't come home and talk about our jobs, it was like all that stuff. So just being more intentional, I guess, about taking the time to appreciate life and everything else that is around us. Getting out in nature, we go for hikes, and there's a favorite restaurant, 49ers, we like to go to. Just it's a nice airy environment, and just remembering those little things that bring us happiness every day, and spending time with that. Our new puppy, and got a new dog, puppy, and there's little things like that.
How about you, Rob, from that perspective?
I heard Bedros say once, the metaphor of when you get in the garage after the day, that metaphor of taking off the armor, piece by piece, leaving it in the garage, coming in and being present for your spouse and the people that you love in your life. That's helped us a lot. For me personally, just working on leadership skills. I used to think I was somewhat of a leader coming from the experiences I had in my career and leading teams and things, but what I realize now is I knew pretty much nothing about real leadership at the entrepreneurial level, and there is no way anyone in business is successful without that leadership being right there. And I see that and I understand it a lot better now. And of course, it's still a journey, but no one's going to follow you. Your team's not going to follow you. Your clients aren't going to respect you if you're not being a leader and you're not living what you're preaching. So.
In fact, if I can look back at my journey when I started my first Fit Body in 2012, which I was excited to be a coach and help people inspire fitness and change lives, I would have told myself, Bryce, study leadership more closely, intentionally, because that's the secret of success. So speaking of which, and leadership obviously is a foundational skill, but what would you say are some other skills that you need as a gym owner? And then also, what skills are you currently continuing to develop? And Carol, we'll go for you first.
One that I try to, at least the one thing that I do is walking through the door, you want to lead with your energy as far as what you want. Not just being the leader, but you also have to kind of live with the action and the energy of what you want to achieve in your gym. So oftentimes before I even walk through the door, like on my drive into work, I want to have set the energy and tone that I want to inspire in the gym. So while I'm a parrot, you have to lead with that positive, confident, just energy that you want to draw into everybody, that they're going to also kind of reflect in themselves toward everybody else. So I'm like into energy, and really transference of energy from us to the other people, and igniting that energy in other people. So you want to, make sure it's positive, that it's enjoyable, that it's inspiring, because that's the same energy, in my opinion, that they're going to carry for the rest of their day. So having that, because there's people walk in and we all have struggles. I have struggles. Teaching has struggles. Building a family, you have struggles. So you want to just remember that. It's always in the forefront of my mind is that how you deliver, having that kind of backbone of energy transference, like going, and it sounds funny, but going in toward everybody that's coming in through your door.
It's so important, especially in our space, and what we say all the time amongst owners, we're in the people business first and foremost, so that connection with people, that transference of energy is just like, game changing. It's super and critical.
Yeah.
Rob, how about you from your perspective?
Being one of the older owners, I guess, and having some a little more life experience behind me, having been a parent, having 2 adult children, I'm at that point in my life where I feel a lot of gratitude at this point. My kids are doing well, the gym's going well, and I love to step back sometimes and just like, look what we built, look at, this is pretty cool, and all the amazing people we've met along the way, being part of the mastermind, really enhances the ownership experience, helps keep us fired up, and also on point with trying to improve. You never stop that journey, no matter how old you are.
Amen.
But yeah, we had the experience or the opportunity to take our team to see Todd Durkin last January, right at the beginning of the year, which was really timely and kind of a small setting. And it's amazing that you see these examples of these high-performing, amazing individuals and how much impact they can, not just in their communities, but nationally and globally. And then at the same time, you see how genuine they are, and they look you in the eye when they shake your hand. And one thing he said that's I've carried with me this year is he always tries to be the most positive person in the room, right? Mm-hmm. And I've kind of adapted that as my mantra when I park before I go in the gym. Between when I shut my truck door and get in the gym, I'm going to be the most positive person. Whether it's a coach going through something horrendous, which we've had this year, or a client, or whatever it is, that helps kind of get me off to the right frame of mind to start the day.
Yeah, appreciate that. Great perspective. All right, my friends, my last question for you today, and this is really talking to our audience who potentially was in your spot. They're looking in, they're potentially excited about making an impact, becoming a fitness business owner, becoming a fit body owner per se, but there's some hesitancy and concern. What would you say in terms of your parting piece of wisdom? And we'll go ladies first.
Always trust your gut, and always don't listen to the naysayers. There will always be people who will cautiously, be concerned about that decision, but just trust your instinct, trust your gut, and just follow that. That's what I would say.
Sage advice. Good. Rob?
Yeah, I would say not everyone's cut out to be a business owner or an entrepreneur. I think you have to do a little bit of introspection on that. Not everyone is, you have to be not adverse to a little bit of risk. I think that's important. But it doesn't necessarily matter how much financial backing you have at the time. You just have to have that belief that I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to make it work. There's going to be no plan B. I'm either going to align myself with people that have done what I want to do, or I'm going to figure it out myself. And so we've had the chance to talk to some new owners recently, or people thinking about becoming new owners, and I try to communicate that to them a little bit, that heck yeah, you can do this. Heck yeah, it's not going to be easy, but you can do it. But you just have to commit. There's no half-ass in this.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, that's an incredible way to leave our audience today. Ton of value. Before we wrap today, I just want to acknowledge you and thank you both. Being on this journey together, knowing for you more than a handful of years now, you're just genuine salt of the earth people that care, that have passion, that have a lot of maturity and perspective. And you've made our brand better. You've made me better. And I just want to acknowledge you. And certainly now you've made our audience better as well. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Bryce.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys being on the show.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, friends, I know you got a ton of value. I certainly did, and just want to give you a friendly reminder to give us a like and subscribe on YouTube, and write your biggest takeaway in the comments section. That way we can continue to engage. And my friends, it was an awesome time having you today.
Thank you, Bryce.
And my friends, we'll see you in the episode. Thank you so much.